Hello and welcome to day 2 of Calm During COVID. And today's theme is cultivating strength and stability. So I think there's this misconception when things are frantic or chaotic or stressed, everyone wants to down regulate the nervous system, but it is equally as important to strengthen and be able to hold ourselves up when things are a little bit nuts. So today we're going to work on that strength and stability. And you're going to want, you can use a yoga block, but if you don't have that, you could use like a cushion off of a couch. And you're going to begin by lying on your back, and you're going to have said prop nearby. So land here. Take a breath and just settle in to the space of beginning to ready yourself for your practice. And before we begin to do any asana, any postures, I want you to think of a person or a place or a being. It could be an animal, something that brings you a sense of stability and strength. Is there anything you do, anywhere you go, someone who inspires you? And just notice how the instant that you think about that, you change your physiology. So I want you to use that as like a mental touchstone. If you ever start to feel like you're losing it, because we all do, come back to that. Let's take a breath around that feeling. Full breath, not forced. And let that breath go. Okay, you're going to lift your knees and feet. And then you're going to take the prop, I have a block, and you're going to put that between your legs. So I like just below the knees, kind of in the thigh area. Join the feet, have the knees on the prop, and squeeze slightly. You know, you're already going to begin to engage some strength. So if this is too much for you, you can just put your toes on the mat and lift only your heels. And also, this would be the option if you are in your menstrual cycle. It's better to not do a lot of abdominal work, so you might have to back off a lot of this practice. So we'll see. We're not just doing crunches, don't freak out. So if you've been there for a long time holding the prop, good job. We're going to start to sway the legs from side to side. Now you're going to control this movement. So I want you to go slow enough that your shoulders don't leave the ground. Now, if your tiptoes are on the mat, you can still do this. It's just going to probably be a smaller movement. So the knees are bent, the feet are a little higher than the knees. You have a gentle squeeze on whatever's between the legs, and you're using the strength of your middle to rotate the legs from side to side. If your shoulder comes off the floor or you start to clench your face, you might be going too far. So let's go side to side one more time. Sometimes I get free back adjustments when I do this. Okay, when your legs go to the right this time, don't worry about the left shoulder coming off. Just let the knees go all the way over to the side. You can keep that prop between. And place your right hand on top of your left knee. Just add a little weight there to help increase the sense of twist. Feel the core line of your spine. It's rotating. But this is a place that you can draw in and be aware of for your inner stability. So if that outer memory doesn't work, go here, to the core line of the body. Take a right hand off the knee, pull in the waistline, turn the abdomen, bring the legs upright, pause in the center just long enough to readjust if you need to. I have to move my block, it moved a bit. Go over to the left. And then the feet are just going to be resting on or near each other, and the prop is between the legs. You're going to put your left hand on top of the right knee and add a little bit of weight or pressure there and spin your belly to the right. The name of that pose, when you hold the block and you rock the legs side to side, is actually called abdominal turning or churning. So turn your belly, turn your abdomen to the right, turn your chest to the right, press the right shoulder down, dig into the twist just a little bit more. And even though you're twisting around the axis of the spine, the core that is stable and strong. Okay, release your hand from the leg. Squeeze the block, whatever prop you have, bring the legs back to center. Take your arms straight up toward the ceiling, and then turn your palms toward your feet or your knees, and flex your feet. It's actually extension at the wrist. So you're going to bend at the wrist and show the palms to the ceiling and squeeze the block. So you're kind of in like a tight version of table pose. Join the inseams of the feet, spread the toes. Try to point the soles of the feet kind of up and out away from you. Imagine your palms are on the ceiling. Squeeze the block. You should be able to breathe. I'm talking, so just check in and see how you're doing. Take one more breath, pushing the hands into the ceiling, imagining that. Squeezing the inseams of the feet together, but flaring the soles out away from each other. Soles of the feet are reaching out, but inseams squeezed together. Good job. Let the feet release down. Take hold of your knees, move the block out from the legs there. Just give yourself a squeeze. Flex the belly and pick up the head and tuck the knees in to round your back. Now, usually when people sit up from here, they just kick with their legs. So I'm going to have you add to that. Don't just use your legs. I want you to flex your belly to curl your head up like you're doing a crunch. You can add a little push of knees into hands, but try to use your abdomen to help you to get back to sitting. See if when you get up there, balance on your butt bones for just a moment and then place your feet down on the mat. I'm just going to scoot back. I'm also going to reconnect my mic to my pants. Once you're sitting upright, you're going to kind of recreate the shape that we just did on our back. So you're going to bring your feet together, and for just a moment, you're going to hold your legs. Your feet are flat on the ground, but the inner edges of your feet are touching. And then you're going to pull with your hands on your legs. You can hold your outer legs or the fronts of your knees, and you're going to round your back toward your legs. So your back is definitely flexed. Your spine is flexed right now. And then you're going to pull, keep pulling on the legs and sit up straight. And then we're going to find kind of an in-between place, like you're going to roll down, but you're not. So round the back and start to lean away from the legs. And then again, you have this option, just tiptoes, or if things are going well, you can lift your feet up and slip your hands to the back of your thighs, right behind your knees. Try to get your lower legs closer to horizontal. Now the feet, the inseams are touching, the inner edges of the feet are touching, but you're pulling your pinky toes back away from each other towards your face so that the soles of your feet are reaching out. Now I'm gesturing with my hands, so you want to be able to have that kind of stability where you're not wobbling around too much. If you feel like you want to give that a go, take your arms out so that they're also kind of horizontal. You might be feeling your hip flexors a little bit. That's not the end of the world. Just pause here, train in this shape, getting some stability and some strength. Take one more breath. And then exhale, hold the front of the knees, drop the feet down. You're gonna lean onto your hands, just lean back, separate the feet about as wide as your mat, and just rock the legs from side to side. Now, when they go over to the right again, You're going to drop them all the way to the floor. So the left hip comes up. I'm going to turn away from the camera for a moment, and you're going to turn all the way around to face towards where your back was just facing a moment ago. So push with your hands into the ground, in particular push down with the right hand, and turn your belly again, much like when you did on your back. So your belly is turning to the right, even though your knees are over there to the left. Can you feel the stability of the spine? It's very upright here. You're pushing the floor down, the head is up. There it is, good. Find that line. Imagine that you're spinning like a helix around the spine with the torso. Okay, untwist. Sit your buns in the middle. Flop the knees over to the left. It's a very technical term, just flop them over there. And then you're gonna walk the hands around again toward the back of the mat, twisting the second direction. So you're pushing down with the hand. The left hand is probably gonna be bearing more weight. And I want you to just see this core line of your torso, the spine. So the spine is three-dimensional, of course. We just don't usually think of it like that. We usually kind of think of the back of it. But the center of your body that's rising up right now, there's a strength to be had in being centered in yourself. So draw into that strength. Draw your waistline back slightly, rotate the waistline to the left, and keep lengthening, keep stretching in the spine. And then you're gonna untwist again and come back to facing what has been the front of your mat. We're gonna revisit what we did earlier. So you're gonna join the feet. So I'm gonna face you this time so you get a different angle. So when you start, you're holding your knees or the backs of your thighs and your feet are flat on the floor. And I'm gonna show you what this foot position looks like. So the knees are a little bit apart. You're gonna rock back, remember before, slightly round, and you're gonna lift the soles of your feet up. So here's that position that I was talking about. The inner edges of the feet are together, but the soles of the feet are facing outward, right? So just do that action and notice how much work happens in your legs. You're drawing back in to the stability of your own center, right? Little toes spread. You have to do that gesture. It's like you're drinking tea. Soles of the feet are pushing out. And then the arms, if you can, they're gonna go forward. And then we did this on our back. You're gonna push the palms out, same direction as the feet. And you're gonna see if you can tighten that shape. Can you get your knees closer to your shoulders? They're parting a little bit, so there's room for your belly. And then your nose and your toes are getting closer together. So it's tightening the whole ball, balancing. And if you fall back, you just rock yourself back upright and reset. We'll be here for one more breath. And then when you exhale, you're gonna put your feet down. You can wrap your arms around your legs and sit up straight to relieve anything that might be funky in your low back. Okay, turn to your mat, come to all fours. And even though you're supported in a downward shape here, picture what it felt like when you were facing upright, when you were holding your feet and knees up and pushing your hands toward the ceiling. So get that sense of stability in the middle. And then try not to change this tabletop position with the spine. Just step back with your right foot like you're gonna do a push-up. So just the right leg is in plank pose. It's one-legged plank pose. And you're gonna check to see that the waistline is supporting you. You're gonna find the core line of the spine, put the head in line with that as well, and drop the right knee and switch to the left. Just teach yourself to move with some stability. Right? You don't have to hold your breath. You don't have to grip ferociously. But you can draw back into your center, not hiding, but just reconnecting with your strength. And if you don't feel it, you have a touchstone that you can remember. Isn't that sweet how that happens? You just think about it and everything changes. Okay, so next pass, start with the right leg again. This torso is stable. And you're either gonna switch legs or you're gonna step full plank and hold. Now breathe, you should be able to breathe. So you're bracing the lower abs, but your chest can take full breath. breath. We're going to hold as is, press the arms down, and begin a sawing movement. If you're having both knees off the ground, you go forward onto tippy toes and backward. If you're changing legs one and then the other, just stay with that, or rock like a saw, forward, backward. The whole spine, it's very strong and stable. You're just moving front to back or changing legs. The next time that you go forward, pause on tippy toes, one breath in, and then exhale, knees to the ground. And if you're able to sit on your heels, sit back on your heels for a moment and rest your hands, palms up in your lap, and feel this invigorating fire, right? It's a purification in yoga. We call it that, like this tapas, this heat that we're building. It doesn't mean you have to go fast. Okay, step forward with your right leg, come into a lunge, come on upright, and bend into the right leg. So we're going to lift the arms in kind of an unconventional way. I'm actually going to turn and face you so that you can see this a little bit better. And you're going to pick a couple of options. You could be a ballet dancer. Arms are kind of soft and rounded. You could be holding a steering wheel. You could be riding your Harley. I like that one. So you're going to keep the arms up, and you're going to recruit the same muscles that you've been working, and you're going to twist to your right. Now, I'm not mirroring you, so it might look crooked. And then there's a certain point where you're going to hit resistance, and you're not going to force through that, right? To be stable, it means meeting yourself where you are and being strong there on that edge. So we're just going to hold, and we're going to let the body feel that edge and just be with it mentally. The mind might want to go farther, but we're going to stop right here. Holding the arms upright so that you're not cheating by pulling with the arms. We're going to add them in just a minute, don't worry. All right, to get the arm connection, you're going to flex your spine, bow forward, and see if you can get your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Now, if that happens, you can stack your hands or make one hand a fist and one a palm. If it's not happening, hold with your hand on the outside of your right knee and put the other hand on your hip as you twist. It's hard to breathe when the abdomen is in this tight rotation. So picture the line of your spine, lengthen it, especially on inhale. Try to breathe into the back of the lungs and up into the chest. Okay, when you untwist, you're going to take your leg out wide towards the right edge of your mat. And I'm going to shift back on my mat. And then you're going to put your arms to the inside of your right leg. So you can come onto the fingertips if you need a little bit more room. Right leg is out near right edge of the mat. And then curl your left toes under, pick up your left knee, and spin the left heel to the ground. So that foot is sort of parallel to back edge of the mat. Little buoyancy in the hips. And then you're going to bend your elbows, round your back, and tuck the chin. See if you can squeeze your right knee to the outside of your right arm or shoulder. Draw the tail down and stay with it for one more breath. Then to get out of this, lift the back heel and step forward with your left foot. It's going to come wide as well, so the feet are at outer edges of the mat. And take the head down in between the legs or in that general direction. Relax the shoulders. And slide your hands forward out in front of your feet on the ground. Push into the ground and lift your spine up. Begin to heel toe your feet so they're more like hip width apart. See if you can get the heels kind of under your sit bones, and then the toes are going to turn out so they're wider, kind of like outer hip width. Once you have that, you're going to squat as low as you can with your hands on the floor. So you can let the heels come up if you need to. Or if it's easy for you to have your heels on the floor, that's fine. So you're crouching with the knees apart. The arms are on the inside of the knees, and the feet are slightly turned away from one another. We're going to find the same rounded shape we did earlier when we were sitting on our behind, holding the feet off the ground. So round the spine, tuck the head, walk the hands forward, drop the tail, maybe the heels get closer to the floor. This is called malasana or garland pose. With the feet apart, they're often together. From here, you're going to slide your upper arms back against your shins. You're going to push your shins in your arms together, and then lift your heels and place your hands flat and lift your buns like a little stink bug and see if you can tap your head to the ground. And then push the hands down, drop the behind, and lower the buns to the floor to sit. I'm going to scoot back a touch and then repeat this action we did earlier. The feet come up, the knees are slightly apart, soles of the feet forward. Reach forward with the arms, palms out. Take the arms to the inside of the legs this time, a little squeeze, knees to elbows or upper arms. Drop the feet down, shift back to malasana. See if crow pose can happen today. The upper arms go right against the fronts of the shins. You lift the hips. You lean forward. That's the trick. Forward, forward, forward. Don't put the head down this time. Keep the head up. As you lean forward, bend your elbows just a hair. There's a shelf for the upper arms. See if the knees can squeeze to the outer arms. Maybe one foot or both feet leaves the ground. If not, don't worry about it. Just keep working on it. At some point, you're going to put the feet back down. You're going to straighten the legs. You're going to exhale, fold forward, and you're going to turn the hands so that the tops of the hands are on the mat. Palms are facing up toward your head, fingers away from feet. Catch your breath. Start to walk the left foot forward and the right leg back. Come into a kneeling lunge. Take your time. Sometimes when we shift directions, the brain isn't quite stable. The blood pressure is a little bit off. So, we're building stability today. That takes some mindfulness. When the time is right, you're going to bring the torso upright. And then you're going to take your arms forward. You have those options: ballet dancer, riding the Harley. Maybe you got a steering wheel. I like the motorbike myself. You're going to keep that. And then from your core, twist to the left. It's not going to be the same as this side. Just go where you can and hold, right? Get the sense of strength that it takes to hold here. It should be some work. It takes work for us to create stability when things are hectic. So we're just building that fire. We're going to hold it for one more breath. And then we're going to flex the spine. That means just round your back. See if you can get your right elbow to the outside of left knee. If you can, you might want to join your hands to help with this rotation, or maybe you're using one hand on a knee and one on a hip. And deepen into that twist. Start to release. You're going to take your hands to the inside of the left leg, move the left foot out near the outer edge of the mat. Back foot curls under so that you can straighten the knee and spin that heel to the ground. You keep a little lift in the hips, but you bend the elbows and you take the head down. So this is called humble warrior. Usually the legs are like warrior pose. The front leg is bent, back leg is straight. Squeeze the left knee into the outer upper left arm. And start to make your way out of that. For the second pass of Bakasana, you're going to step your feet all the way together this time. And do the same squat we did before. Let the heels lift, open the knees apart, go as deep as you can, as long as it doesn't hurt the knees. So the trick here with crow, Bakasana it's called, is putting the knees on the outer upper arms, not just the back of the arms. And then you can squeeze, like you squeezed the block earlier. You put your palms down like dog pose, gaze forward so you don't somersault, pike your booty in the air, lean forward, 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 until you're on your tippy toes. Maybe that's enough. And you squeeze toward the midline. And you remember that there's some inspiration that can help feed you in this arm balance crow. Tuck the tail, breathe. Drop the feet, straighten the legs. This time, hold your elbows with your hands. Release tension in neck and shoulders. Catch your breath. We got a different arm balance coming. With the feet wide apart, you're gonna squat again, but not as low. So you're gonna think of this more like you're gonna hike a football back between your legs, American football, not European football. You're gonna bring your arms straight back between your legs and get your arms to the inside of your knees. You're gonna put your fingers right behind your heels on the floor. Start to flatten the palms at the same time as you lower your behind. You're going to pinch your upper arms behind your knees. This is a weird pretzel of a position. It's much like what life we're in right now. Things are pretty awkward and we're trying to learn some new stuff. We don't know how it's going to go. If things are going okay, you start to lean back until you push your arms into your legs, and maybe your legs can come off the ground. Your feet can clap in the front, you can cross one ankle over the other one, or maybe you just collapse and sit on the floor. That's where we're headed anyway, so eventually just sit yourself down and join the soles of your feet together and hold either your big toes or your ankles and lift up the spine. This part of your anatomy that holds you up, allows you to be bipedal, to walk, to move forward. Slip your hands to the outside of your legs and help your legs come right back upright. And then turn to the long edge of your mat. So for me, that's facing you, facing the camera. And again, I'm not going to mirror this. I'm going to do my right as you do your right. You're going to bring the knees together, kind of like when we had the block there. And you can go as comfortable, as far or as close as is comfortable for you. And you're gonna wrap your left arm around the front of your legs. And just hold whatever way is easiest for you. You might have to have a little space depending on the flexibility of hips, legs, size of your belly, all that good stuff. Twist to the right and put your right hand on the ground behind or next to your hips. And then as you twist, pull your waistline back and make the back a little bit more round as you rotate. Tuck the front ribs in. And then maybe start to bring the left arm across to the right knee. So this is why we're rounding the back, right? If you're sitting up really straight, it's going to be hard to get your knee over, your elbow over to your knee. So round the spine. See if the upper arm can get there. Maybe that left knee can squeeze in a little tighter as you pull down and in to the core of your body. Your left hand is reaching up, but the palm is open away from your legs. On inhale, come back to center. Rest in whatever way is easy for you to sit right now. Just a pause before we go to the other side. All right, let's go in again. So the right hand, again, I'm not mirroring you. This is my right hand. It's going to hold across the legs. Right now there's some space between the legs, and I'm going to put my left hand behind my hips on the ground. And then the action that we don't always do this in yoga, but today we're doing this, is to round, like literally flex your belly, flex your spine. Now, when you do abdominal work like this, at least from the yoga perspective, you're not flexing so hard that you can't breathe. That's how I can still talk to you. Like I'm rounding my back, my lower belly is in, but the breath is coming up into the chest, into the side ribs, the back of the lungs. So now that you've been there a while, start to get the legs a little closer perhaps, and see if you can get that right elbow to the outside of your left knee. And if you do, you kind of leverage against it. You just push the knee into the arm and the arm into the knee, like a little arm wrestling there. Maybe the knees can come together as you turn your belly to the left. On inhale, untwist. Again, sitting in a way that you can manage for a couple more breaths. So you may have noticed that we're doing arm balances today, and we're going to do side crow next. So you can repeat this tight leg twist or stop at any point along the way in this posture. And there's this misconception, even though this class is about stability and strength, the misconception about arm balances is that you have to be super burly strong, and you actually don't. You actually have to be flexible in your hips and your low back. So join me in sitting on the balls of your feet. And if it's hard for your knees to be in this tight position, you can do this from a higher squat, like so, like chair pose. I'm going to do it from lower to begin with. And we're setting up for side crow. So we're twisting in the same way. The knees are going to come close to each other, and you're going to twist to the right. You're going to flex your spine. See if you can get your upper arm to your outer right knee. This is imperative if you're going to do the arm balance, okay? If you are on your forearm, there's no chance that you're going to make this pose happen. So you're going to just work to get closer to the elbow if that's you. Now, if the elbow is there, here's the trick. When you put your hands down, put them down like dog pose, but over off to the right, and then lift your butt, keep your outer leg and your upper arm touching, and lean to the right. Do you see that action? Lean to the right so your weight goes over your hands. And as your weight goes up, butt up, and over the hands, you might start to bend your elbows until the feet get lighter. And if they do, they come up and they stack, and the soles of the feet point to the left. I'm doing it. And then the feet come down, and you take a breath. It might be a good idea to just get off your hands for a moment. Right, we're kind of trying to sprinkle these arm balances in, so it's a break on the wrist from side to side. That said, when we go to the second side, I'm going to shuffle over. I'm going to show you from higher, and this may work better for some of you. So from more like a chair pose position, higher squat, you still twist, and you put the right elbow on the outside of left knee this time. So you have to kind of dive forward from this position to get the hands to the floor. That's the part that's scarier for me. The hands are off to the left. You lift your butt and you lean over to the left. That's the important part, right? The flexibility to get the hips over the hands. Bend the elbows just a little. You're making a shelf with the right arm, and maybe the feet can lift, maybe not. You can keep playing with it. That's the beauty of YouTube. This video will be up later. You can try it again. Okay, when you've come out of it, just sit down. Whew. And If you have a block, I have one here. You could also use a pillow for this. We're going to start to unravel all of this tight flexion in the spine when you use this to do a supported bridge pose. So lie on your back, have a prop like the pillow or block that you used earlier nearby. Before you use it, just take a pause and feel what it feels like to lie on the ground right now. And then find the surface that you're going to elevate your hips on. It doesn't have to be your maximum height. Push into the feet, lift the behind up, and put this under your tailbone sacrum area, so not the low back. And then open the palms to face up so that the shoulders roll back. And slow your breathing down. It's not an accident that I said that strength requires flexibility. Because if we're not flexible, then we're just rigid. That's not strong. That means you just break when things get metaphorically windy. We want to be more like trees where we're able to just sway a little bit, not get knocked over. Okay, you are more than welcome to stay here. I'm going to give a couple of other options that might be fun to try for you. So one would be to stretch either one leg and alternate into the other, or both legs straight out away from the head. Another choice, and this one doesn't work very well if you have a super squishy or wobbly surface, but is to elevate the feet and to take them overhead. Now I know we did abdominal work before, but this one we're trying to think of it less like we're really working hard in the belly and more like we're just draining the fluid in the legs so that we get a fresh supply there. So you decide if you want to stay as is or try out something different. And we'll be here for 3 to 5 more breaths. Find the stability of even breathing. And you can picture the line of the spine. It's in a little bit of a back bend, but this central channel of energy called the Sushumna Nadi, that as you inhale, it's filling from the pelvis up the spine toward the head. That's the imagery. And then as you exhale, it reverses course and empties from the top of the neck down towards the floor of the pelvis. Take one more breath like that into the body, aware of the core line, and out, emptying out. Okay, lift your buns, take the block or whatever you have under there away, and you're going to take the knees to the right like we did earlier, that kind of windshield wiper thing, but this time you're going to turn all the way onto your right side so that you can catch your left foot in a thigh stretch. You can stay on your side like I am right now, or if you are a little bit on the more limber side, you can tuck your toenails onto the floor outside your left hip and start to roll the chest more toward the ceiling. So this is half hero pose with the left leg, or Ardha Virasana, it's called in Sanskrit. So we're just trying to do a thigh stretch on the left side. Little tuck forward in the tail, some length out through the left kneecap. And if you did roll onto your back in half hero's pose, roll over to the right side again just to unhook that foot. And then lie on your back. Everyone can do this part, and we'll windshield wiper the legs over to the left. And you're gonna start on your left side, and you're gonna hold the right foot in a thigh stretch. And you can stay here if you want, or you can take that right foot, tuck the toes under so you're on your toenails next to your right hip, and start to roll more open toward the ceiling with your chest. Just open up the belly. It's been working for a while now. And stretch the top of the right leg by pushing the right kneecap away from the head, tucking the tail slightly. Okay, roll over to the left if you're not there, just to unhook that foot, and then you're actually going to sit up from here. So just go slow. Use your hands, push yourself up to sitting. And I'm going to show you a mudra. A mudra is a hand position that kind of seals in particular energy. Different hand positions work with different energies. And the one I'm going to show you is the fearless heart mudra. So there's two ways to do it. Simple form, left hand on your heart, right hand palm forward. So this is called the fearless. The right hand palm forward is the fearless gesture. It's called abhaya. Okay, this is simple form of courageous heart. And then the more complicated form, if you want to try it, is right wrist in front of left. You hook the index fingers, the middle fingers, and the pinky fingers. And then you make the OK symbol with your ring fingers and your thumbs. So that's a little bit awkward for some people's hands. But pick one of those. Abhaya Hridayam, the fearless heart. The strength to stay open-hearted, open-minded, and to meet our fears from a place of stability. This strength is in you. No one's been through what you've been through. The strength that is yours. How beautiful you are. Let's take one last breath together in either the more complex or simple form of the fearless heart. And as you exhale, allow the head to bow forward to acknowledge so much strength you have and all the stability therein. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.